So this video is about Tristan Vukcevic, but it's more about what Tristan Vukcevic represents, right? What does Tristan Vukcevic represent to the Lakers right now? What does he represent to the Lakers considering what we've done with our assets over the past 5 years or so, right? So, I just want to start here. I'm listening to Trevor Lane. I have no beef with Trevor Lane. I have beef with some of the things he says sometimes, okay? But I'm listening to Trevor Lane. He's talking about getting Alexander Walker from Minnesota, right, in free agency. He's also talking about getting Jared Allen. And he stated that the Lakers need 2 bigs, right? I hate the term bigs. It's so simple. There's so much more to that term. Anyway, I'll probably make a post about that. But just remember, when the Lakers won their championship prior to the LeBron James bubble championship, it was Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol. 2 bigs, right? When we won in the bubble, it was Anthony Davis, arguably the best defensive center in the NBA, or the best defensive player in the NBA. It was Anthony Davis and JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard, right? So just the fact that the Lakers pulled away from that in order to chase what the rest of the NBA was doing, or what the rest of the NBA found popular, or to chase what was the narrative, right? In order to do that, the Lakers basically gave up a very talented team. An extremely talented team. And what did they give up, right? Well, before this whole thing even got started, we gave up Ivica Zubac, Julius Randle, and then after the title, we gave up Alex Caruso. So that's 3 right there. 3 starters or players or rotate, however you want to put it. 3 huge talents we gave up. And then we went and chased names, which is what the Lakers do, right? Hey, man, there's someone in the comments. I can't remember what your name is. I love your comments and I respect your comments. But you said that the Lakers aren't really, the Lakers are still about titles. I agree with you. The Lakers are about titles, right? But you can't guarantee a title. You see, if you bring in a LeBron James, if you ride Kobe Bryant for 20 years, right? If you bring in, keep or bring in an Anthony Davis, you know you are going to be profitable. You know you're going to put butts in seats. You're not guaranteed a title, but you know that you're going to put butts in seats. You know you're going to sell merchandise. You know what I mean? You know you're going to get endorsements. You know that. And that's where I believe the Lakers have been, right? It's not that they're opposed to titles. No, of course. The Lakers are 100% into titles, right? They want a championship. It's just that their model is saying that we get paid first. We ensure we got the business side of it right. And that's, in my opinion, even though it may be a small 180, it is a 180 from what Dr. Jerry Buss and Jerry West, their approach was win first and everything else will follow. All I was saying was that the Lakers' approach now is do the business first and then augment the business with stuff that can make us win. And it's 2 different approaches, and in my opinion, it's been 2 very different results. Okay? But I say that to say this. When the Lakers traded Kyle Kuzma for Westbrook, they traded for a name. That trade, it sounded good on paper. It sounded good if you're a businessman, but when you watch what the Lakers are and watch what the Lakers need, right? It was a terrible trade. What we do know is that Russell Westbrook was a name. That's it. He was just a name. Right? When the Lakers, who was that dude from the Clippers? He was 6th man of the year. The Lakers brought him onto the team, and he really didn't fit. But the Lakers brought him in because he was the 6th man of the year. Right? The Clippers wouldn't pay him. I wish I could remember what his name is. He was an undersized power forward. One of y'all know. The point is this, right? The Lakers effed off so much of their assets. That when I hear them talk about Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Jarrett Allen, right, or some of these other names, right, Claxton, right, you really don't have the assets for it. And then, I'm listening to Trevor Lane talk about Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and he's saying, well, Orlando is going to give him, they got the money, and they're going to give him $14 million, and all we're probably going to have is around $9 million. Would he come to LA? Man, LA needs to get off that shit. We need to get off of that. Would he come, the warm weather, and it's the Lakers, and get off your soapbox, man. That shit ain't flying. Just stop approaching shit like that. Might there be some players who come because it's beautiful women and great weather and it's the Lakers? Might people come? Yes, possibly. Yeah, sure. Right? But you can't have a work ethic that has that built into your work ethic, that has that built into your model of acquiring players. Right? You got to be deeper than that, man. It's so shallow. But bigger point is this. The Lakers, like I said, effed off so much of their talent, right? Julius Randle, Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, Ivica Zubac. I'm talking about players that could be the cornerstone for a playoff team now. They effed off so much talent that the way they're approaching free agency scares me. And let me correct what I just said. I'm not sure how the Lakers are approaching free agency. This is what talking heads are saying, right? The reason why I give credence to what some of the talking heads are saying is because, in my opinion, I feel like the Lakers have followed what the masses have said. And in order to not be in order to not have the public be too critical of management, I think that management has kind of gone out of its way to give the public what it wants. That's what I've seen. I believe that management listens to these shows. I absolutely believe that. And I believe that management then acts in such a way to say, hey, look, everybody wanted it. And if everybody wanted it, then how could you point the finger at me? I believe they do that. And if you see me bring up these shows, it's not because I have beef with these shows. It's because that's what I believe. I believe management is doing like this. Which way is the wind blowing? It's blowing that. Okay, we're going to give the fans this. They'll be happy with this. Right? So that's the only context I bring up these other shows, man. It's not that I have a beef with them. But, where was I? Yeah, so management has been so wasteful that what I'm hearing from the talking heads, right? Trevor Lane, the Kamenetsky brothers, Pete Zaya, some of these other people. What I'm hearing from them, it's not practical. And I feel like it's going to lead to huge disappointment, right? Because think about it like this. If you had a house, right, with a great interest rate, and you sold it, you had to sell it at a time where the housing market was shit and you lost your whatever. For whatever reason, you had to sell it. So you sell the house below what you bought it for, right? And then you decide to go and buy that house back at a greater price. That's kind of how the Lakers are moving, right? They keep selling off assets, getting back less for them, and then turning around and looking at those assets and saying, oh man, I'd like to have that player back. That's what they're doing, right? And you could operate like that once, maybe twice, right? But when you've done that for about 4 or 5 years, and you literally sit out entire off seasons, right? As if it don't matter. As if when you sat out the offseason, you stayed where you were. Think about it like an athlete. That's how these GMs need to think about their job. That's how Rob Pelinka needs to think of his job. Rob Pelinka, if you sat out an offseason as an athlete, right? Do you come back right the same as you were before? All these other teams are making moves to help their respective teams. What they believe their teams need. Right? That's what they did. They believed they got better. Did they all get better? No. Some of them got worse, but they tried. They tried to get better, right? They made the effort. And culturally speaking, it was a terrible message to send to the rest of the team when you sat out the entire 2023-24 offseason. Or was it 24-25 offseason? Right? Because this offseason will be 2023-24 offseason. It was a terrible message to send to the team. Terrible. And I used to not really think much about what management did and how it affects people. But as I've gotten older, I'm 48 years old. As I've gotten older, I have a better respect for how the world works, right? So when you see what somebody is doing at the top, it definitely makes it more acceptable at the bottom. They're watching you. It's like as a parent, I have 2 children, and I've made mistakes as a parent, terrible mistakes as a parent, but I do my best to recoup, what I've done, apologize for it, move on and be better, right? Thing is that, your kids need to see you doing that. They need to see that that's a part of your life and it means something to you. Right? Because, as a parent, as a first-time parent, you kind of only know what you know. Right? When I was younger, I got beat. Man. But in speaking to my dad, and I know what he was trying to do when he told me this, he got beat even worse. Right? I don't consider what happened to me child abuse. I didn't spank my kids. I spanked my kids with my hands, but I never used a belt or a switch or anything like that. Extension cord, nothing like that. And when I spanked him, I gave him a little pat. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not going to go too far into details, but my parents were fantastic. They were fantastic. And they tried, That's about all you could really ask for, is that someone tries, right? And although sometimes I felt like I was beat unjustly or whooped unjustly, I still look back at them. I got the greatest reverence for them. They were fantastic people, fantastic parents, man, and they tried, and they only knew what they knew, And at the end of the day, I could look at them and know they gave it their all, right? And if they did some things wrong here and there, especially being a parent now, I get it, right? And I almost respect the fact that they did some things wrong here and there, because it means they put forth effort, right? Rob Pelinka sat out the last offseason. I know you guys are going to see this as a non sequitur, but I don't. This is the way I see life, right? In life, you have different, just different dynamics, man. And I see the dynamic that Rob Pelinka sends as the dynamic that the Lakers often adopt. It's often what you see when they play. It's very binary. Either the team shows up or the team don't. That's not the same as a Oklahoma City Thunder. They always show up. And do they have bad games sometimes? Yes. That's not the same as the 80s Lakers. For 10 years in the 80s, all I saw was the Lakers coming out and busting their ass. That's all I saw. But with this team, with the Lakers, right? The current iteration of the Lakers, what you see is a mentality, an approach to the game, an approach to life, right? That it feels like it's overlapping, right? It feels like you can't separate one from the other. So like when you see Rob Pelinka literally sit out an entire offseason when you have a LeBron James and an Anthony Davis on your roster, right? You sit out an entire offseason. It kind of tracks. It tracks with what we saw out of the Laker team. Where it's like yo, why are you guys doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you making that mistake? Where the hell is the team tonight? You guys just didn't show up. Yo, it all tracks. Right? It all tracks, man. Like, what did they talk about the Miami Heat culture, right? Okay, Miami had a bad year last year. Or this year. They had a bad year, right? It don't change their culture. It doesn't touch their culture. Right? It's the same culture. They just had a bad year. That's not the same as the Lakers. When the Lakers have a bad year, you're looking at them as people, as them as an organization, right? As them as a team, right? Because it's something. I made a post, and I'll straight up say it, man. I hate this about this particular team, but I'm gonna straight up say it. This Laker team has a loser gene in them. I made an entire post about it. If you want to go look at it, go look at it. But I'm not backing off of that. The team has a loser gene in them, right? In which you see them do shit. And it's like, yo, man, you didn't know that you can't just slowly dribble to right over half court to the sideline, right? So you got the sideline and half court basically defending you. You know, and just wait for a double team to come. You didn't know that? You didn't know that in a zone, somebody got a flash to the middle? You didn't know that? Right? At some point, somebody got to come to the middle, and two guys got to dive. You didn't know that? You didn't know that coming across half court and shooting a three-pointer with 16 seconds on the clock, 13 seconds on the clock, you ain't know that is not really a sustainable way. I don't give a shit if you made the three or not. You didn't know that's not a sustainable way to play, right? You don't know that you need a big man in a basketball game. I don't give a shit what you think of Jackson Hayes. Game 5 showed you obviously needed him. He obviously had value. A value you didn't recognize, that you didn't respect. You know? And that's what I mean. See, I believe the Lakers do know all this stuff. But losers can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. You know? And when I say loser, I don't mean that maliciously. I say that for brevity. I say that because I believe you guys know what I'm talking about. Right? It's some people. You know, this is an example I used before. If somebody came to 15 people in your family, right? And said, look, I'm going to give everyone here $1 million. All you got to do is this, right? Take this $5,000. I'm going to give all of y'all $5,000 right now. Go and open a bank account. Then tomorrow, I want you to come to me, right, at 9:45. Don't be a minute late, at 9:45, and shake my hand. Right? After that, I'm going to put $1 million in all your accounts. That's all you got to do. Take this $5,000, open an account. Tomorrow, come meet me at this place at this time. Don't be a minute late and shake my hand. Somebody's gonna fuck that up. And you know what? You know what's crazy about it? If all people know each other, they're all gonna say it's the same person. They're all going. Yo, this is dude I work with, right? And this dude's about 33 years old, 35, something like that. And this dude can't get out of his own way. He's on that dumb shit. Can't get out of his own way. And he's a dude to where if I work on a team got about 12 people on it, right? If you went to all 12 people and said, hey, look, somebody's going to be late to this meeting, right? Who would you say, who would you put your money on is a person that's going to be late to this meeting? It should be a 1/12 chance it's any particular person. The answer should be, well, you don't really know this. No, it's not. It's this motherfucker over here. He's going to be the one that's going to be late. I don't give a shit whether he's late or not. Right? That is the guy where they're all saying is going to be late. So let's say he hadn't been late in the last 10 meetings and this other dude's been late 2 or 3 times. They're still going to look at him and say he's the one that's going to be late. Right? That is a loser gene. When you can't do shit like that, That is what I mean by loser gene. And the Lakers have been carrying that for the last 5 years or so. And I think it was the worst thing in the world because they got lucky. When that bubble title, that team, that was one of the most luckiest teams as far as its assembly that I've ever seen in my life. You got to remember, plan 1 and 2 didn't work. Right? Plan 1 and 2 was Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Didn't work. Lakers literally had to go and get the best of the rest. Right? They effed off the opportunity to get Ty Lue, who in my opinion is one of the best, if not the best, coach in the NBA. That dude does more with a injury-riddled Clippers team than I've ever seen in my life as far as teams go. Right? They effed off. That's another one. They effed off the chance to get Ty Lue, right? And so they brought in Vogel, and they went and got the best of the rest in the NBA, and the shit worked. It worked, you know, and it worked with players that weren't really attributed to Rob Pelinka. You know, I'm more talking just Kyle Kuzma, who Rob Pelinka traded because that wasn't really his guy. Right. Anyway, I say all that to say this: when you've effed off so many assets, you have to be deeper than free agency. You have to be deeper than trades, right? Because when you give up Austin Reeves or Dalton Knect, right, you're losing something. And the Lakers are in a space right now where they can't afford to lose anything. Why? Why can't they afford to lose? Because they effed off so many assets, man. So many assets. You know, like I said in my last video, the Lakers should have the remnants, right? Or the players that came via Julius Randle, Ivica Zubac, Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, right? They should have the remnants of those guys, and they don't. They don't have near what they should for players of that. Could you imagine if we had the value, not necessarily the players, but the value those players bought? Could you imagine if we had that? We'd be in a great place to go make trades. But now the Lakers are riding a fine line, and they have to parse and analyze every little thing. Because if they lose Austin Reeves, right, and then they bring back this other player and it don't work, the Lakers are now worse than they were before. So, what does Tristan Vukcevic represent? He represents the Lakers finding value, right? They're not going out because they can't afford to go and buy a $1 million home, right? They need to go buy a fixer-upper and then flip it. When I say flip it, either they get they make it nice and get cash for it, or they make it nice and they live in it, right? Either way, they need to find a fixer-upper, hopefully two, and they need to build those fixer-uppers up. That's what Tristan Vukcevic is. That is what he represents, right? Why do they need to move like that? Because they fucked off so many assets. You know, you can't do that but for so long before it manifests. And then when you get to the off season or you get to the playoffs, right, and you got a coach who says, damn, we don't have anybody we could play, which I think is bullshit. But either way, the fact that you don't have anyone, right, to play, just because JJ Redick, who was moronic, says you don't, it's still indicative of something. It's indicative that you don't have the talent on the team, right? The coach of your team does not believe you have the talent on your team. And, you know, I got to say, man, props to the Knect coach, Thibodeau. Props to him. Because he wanted to play. If he could play 5 people, he would. He looked at his team and he said, "Nah, man. What am I if I don't get you guys ready? We've been working all year. We've been working hard all year." And he went to his bench, man. Played about 2-3 guys I never seen him play. Landry Shamet and not Anunoby, but the other dude. Anyway, he played 2 or 3 guys I hadn't seen him play, and they came in and they produced. You know, and that's, I hope JJ Redick is watching, right? But the approach that, again, I'm hearing the talking heads take is trades, right? Free agency. Free agency is one thing, right? You got to make sure you pick right. You got to make sure you get it right. But free agency is one thing. Trades, I just don't see it. I don't see it. And what the Lakers should do is, I'm telling you, they need to find fixer-uppers. Me, Tristan Vukcevic is my number 1. By a mile. He's my number 1. He is attainable, and he's everything JJ Redick wants. He's my number 1. Minnesota has this dude named Leonard Miller. He is a fixer-upper to me. They should go take a look at that guy. The Lakers got one in-house. And shame on JJ Redick for saying he couldn't play. Don't connect. Don't connect. The Lakers should be riding that dude. And look, it's a coach's responsibility. Right? I was in the Navy 6 years. The guy I was when I first stepped off in the boot camp is not the guy I was when I left. It was still me, right? Still many of the same attributes. They didn't, you know, I'm strong in my will and my mind, man. They didn't flip me and, you know, make me institute, no shit like that. But what they needed me to do, right? When I walked in, I wasn't ready to do it. And when I left, I was much more ready to do it. Right? That's the coach's job. That's what JJ Redick neglected with Dalton Knect. And shame on him for that. I'm surprised he doesn't get more ridicule for that. The way Dalton Knect came into the NBA, the way he came onto the Lakers team, that dude regressed. And JJ Redick did it in such a way that all the talking heads made it seem like it was Dalton Knect's fault. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was JJ Redick's fault. Because JJ Redick was playing to names. Right? He's playing to salaries. The bigger name, the bigger salary, the bigger veteran, the longer you've been a veteran, you had priority over Dalton Knect. He wasn't going to let this 17th or whatever pick come in and do that. That was on JJ Redick. My point is, we should have Dalton Knect, Leonard Miller, and Tristan Vukcevic on our bench next year. Right? Does it have to be Dalton Knect, Leonard Miller, and Tristan Vukcevic? No. It doesn't. But you see where I'm going with this. These 3 are fixer-uppers. And that's what the Lakers have to do. If the Lakers aren't doing that at this point, after effing off so many assets, then the Lakers aren't yet really serious about winning. Right? Are they serious? Yeah. Yeah. They're the Lakers, whatever. I get it. They got Luka, they got LeBron. Yeah, whatever. Right? I'm kind of speaking in a little bit different context here. You know? Almost like a crackhead who got to hit rock bottom. Right? If the Lakers think that they could trade their way out of this, then they haven't hit rock bottom yet. If they're waiting for that phone to ring and get that miracle trade like Rob Pelinka got for Luka, they haven't hit rock bottom yet. The Lakers need to get up off their ass. You see, a fixer-upper requires work. They need to get up off their ass and go work. That's what they got to do. And that's not what I'm seeing. I keep seeing them trying to be glamorous with it. No, you fucked up too much. You fucked up too much. If I F up and build up credit card bills, right, I got to go get another job. You see what I'm saying? I can't just sit around and wait for somebody to come and offer me, you know, debt relief or $1 million or some shit. I got to go get. That's what the Lakers got to do now. That's what Tristan Vukcevic represents. He represents the Lakers getting up off their ass and acknowledging they effed off too many assets to strictly rely on trades, to strictly rely on free agency. We have to find a fixer-upper, and we have to make what appears to be nothing into something. That's the way out of this. That's the way. To my man who comments on my videos, man, yo, man, by the way, I respect you, man, thank you for that. But to my man who comments on my videos, yeah, man, we're on the same page. We all love the Lakers, man. You know, it's just that, you know, we may have different approaches on how to get there is all, right? And a lot of times the way I speak, you know, it sounds like I'm being hypercritical of the team. I'm not. I'm being hypercritical of what they're doing at the time, right? And I do think the Lakers are serious about winning championships, but like a lot of rich people, or like a lot of people who've had it easy, I don't know that they know the best way to go about it. I don't know that they understand where exactly they are, you know, as far as team building goes, or as far as their finances go, in a sense, right? I don't think they really understand where they are, that they are at, and back themselves into a corner where they got to go get another job, where they got to work, where they got to make it happen, where they got to hustle. Tristan Vukcevic, Leonard Miller, Dalton Knect, G.G. Jackson, right? All hustle plays. All hustle plays. That's all you, that's you saying, JJ Redick, here are these diamonds in the rough. You got 82 games to get these cats ready. That's what the Lakers, that's where we are. Right? So, yeah, y'all have fun with all these trades and all this other shit. Enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's good fodder. I get it. Have fun with it. Right? But just recognize that if you see the Lakers steady relying on trades, right, your antenna should go up. Because we are so far past that. It's ridiculous. Right? Might you hit a trade in which, let's say you go and get the 8th pick, and that 8th pick turns out to be a Paul Pierce level, Kobe Bryant level type? Yeah, man, that's possible, right? You're gambling, though. You're gambling with that, right? That's not where we're at. They need to go find diamonds in the rough, do their due diligence, do their research, do their homework. You know what I'm more excited about? I'm more excited to see a name that I don't really know, or a name that the league doesn't really know, but that I've been watching that player, right? Like if I heard that the Lakers are, you know, pushing to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker in a sign and trade or some shit, I don't know, but they also want Leonard Miller thrown in. That's what I'm listening for, right? That the Lakers traded for Corey Kispert from Washington, and they're asking for Tristan Vukcevic also. That's what I'm listening for. That's hustle, right? When the Lakers went and got Trevor Ariza off the bench, plucked him off the bench in Orlando. That's the type of shit I'm talking about. You know what I mean? When the Lakers got Isaac Bonga, shit didn't work. Sun Yu. Y'all remember Sun Yu? Did not work. None of it worked. But that is what Laker hustle looks like. That's what it looks like. Scouting department said, look, man, we're picking 28th, second round. We need to find Ivica Zubac. Never heard of the motherfucker. That's who we're talking about. Vlade Divac. Never heard of him. That, when you hear names like that, that's when you should get excited. Get excited. Because that means they're on their grind. That's what that means. I don't know that we have it in us anymore, though. You know, that was the last regime, man. I'm telling you, Dr. Jerry Buss and Jerry West need to be studied. They need to be studied, man. Because what they did with the Lakers, right, and how they continue that momentum, man, freaking awesome, man. Awesome. And, you know, let's face it, Lakers usually win like every 10 years or so. In the 80s, we won all the time, right? Last one in 88, 89, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100%. Anyway, somewhere around there. Then we won again in 2000, 2001. Then we won again in 2010, 2011. Then we won again in 2020, right? About every 10 years or so, the Lakers win. Now, thank God LeBron came. And LeBron chose to come. Because this is the first time in my life, right? And I'm looking back objectively. This is the first time in my life where I don't see it. I don't see the Lakers having that kind of hustle in them to maintain that winning every 10 year or so type thing. And I'll also say this. The Lakers used to play 4 dynasties. One wasn't enough. One wasn't enough. It was, do we have a team that could win 5 in the 80s and go to 8 titles or 8 NBA finals, right? And then it was Kobe and Shaq. That team was built to win 5. It was built to win 5. And then it was Kobe and Powell and Lamar Odom. Great team. They were built to win 2. And then with LeBron in 2020, we won 1. And what I'm starting to see is that we aren't doing the due diligence like we used to in order to build something great. We're chasing what the rest of the NBA is doing. We're not trailblazing, you know, because like, again, I'm listening to Trevor Lane talking about we need 2 bigs, we need 2 centers, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, dude. In 2010, we had Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol. In 2020, we had Anthony Davis and JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. I mean, what are you talking about, man? You know, we went away from what you promoted for years because your simple ass mind loved the way Golden State was playing. And you looked at the NBA as a fad. It's not a fad. See, the Lakers need to stop looking at shit as a fad, and they need to be the trailblazers, and they stopped doing that. So I'm gonna wrap up this video because dude, man, there's so much to talk about outside of the NBA. The NBA just brings up all this other shit that I've seen in my life, you know, and it makes that stuff kind of worth talking about. But yeah, y'all, that's what Tristan Vukcevic represents to me. I know I'm watching him because I'm in the DC, Northern Virginia area, right? So I watch, and I've been watching him, and I've been watching how Washington uses him, and they've been hiding this dude, absolutely been hiding him from the rest of the NBA, because I think they effed up with the contract, right? So they had a 2nd round pick, they signed him to 2 years, I think, and I don't think that they see they effed up so I think it was similar to what the Lakers did with Doug Christie, right? So we had to go and pay Doug Christie, you know, because we saw that he was worth it, right? But while we could have had him for 4 years, we only had him for 2. Something along those lines. Anyway, DC did something. Washington Wizards did something similar. So they've been trying to hide the dude, right? But I see him, and I know who the Lakers have as a coach, JJ Redick, and I know who JJ Redick wants to play. So that's why I'm trying to get his name out here, man. This video wasn't so much about Tristan Vukcevic as much as it was about what he represents, you know. And again, watch the names. When you hear the Lakers are going after this player, right, and it's a player that the talking heads are talking about, that ain't it. That ain't it. That's not where this team is right now. We got a core, right, in LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves, let's say, right? We got a core that could make some noise. We're not starting with nothing, right? It's just that when you look at the rest of the team. You don't have much. You don't have much in terms of draft picks anymore. You don't have much in terms of talent that other teams want. Right? See, that's the other thing the Lakers should look for. Look for older talent. Right? Every year I watch that damn Jeff Green. Y'all know Jeff Green? He went to Georgetown. And he was like the 5th pick in the draft. But he's an old man now. But I loved him at Georgetown, man. I was like, wow, man, you talk about a guy who just ready-made to be an NBA player, be an NBA professional. The Lakers need to bring in guys like that. I'm not talking necessarily about Jeff Green. I mean guys like that. Guys that Dorian Finney-Smith. Yo, man, keep your ass with the Lakers, man. Don't go anywhere. Right? Other places ain't going to value you. Right? They're starting to look past you. AC Green was like that for many years. He had his run with the Lakers, right? And then he would just bounce from team to team to team. Ultimately came back to the Lakers again in 2000, right? Played power forward for the Lakers. And it's just a consummate professional, If he's going to give you anything more, anything outside of that, no, he's not. Except just be a consummate professional, And the Lakers need to litter their team with consummate professionals and players that are fixer-uppers. That's what the Lakers should be looking for this offseason. These big names, sure, go for them. You have a mid-level exemption. You need to spend it. Go spend it. Go for it, right? You have deficiencies and you have pluses and minuses on your team, right? Figure out where skill sets overlap, and you might need to trade a player, But the bigger approach, broader vision is, you need to find something, right? Go find Tristan Vukcevic, man. He's in my opinion, he's a 20-10 player for the next 10 years. Go find him. Go get him. Okay? Another player, man, I think that, and this website laughed at me, or not this website, people who've seen some of my videos laughed at me for saying this. Jahlil Okafor was an 18-8 as a rookie. He was a victim of the stupid-ass NBA and the stupid-ass talking heads jumping on the nuts of Golden State Warriors. And they said, we don't need no back-to-the-basket center anymore. That's all that happened to Julius Randle, too. He had a great year for the Lakers. And we let him walk for nothing. Go take a look at Jahlil Okafor. You come back with Jahlil Okafor and Tristan Vukcevic and maybe a consummate professional type center. Right? I think you had a great offseason. I think you filled all the holes you need to fill. One other thing, and I'm going to make a video about this, and I thought about it a lot, and I'm sticking to this. The Lakers need to trade Austin Reeves for Jalen Green. They need to make that trade. They need to bring in somebody with some pop. And Houston needs a consummate professional. Austin Reeves is a consummate professional. It's just that Austin Reeves' skill set overlaps with Luka and LeBron too much. This is all it is. Just bad timing, man. Anyway, y'all please like and subscribe, and I'll come back with another video soon. All right, peace.